Hi everyone, it is March 26, 2024. Hello Linty and Alicia and Analog Synth Player and Crazy Pots and Moss Patchouli. And let's see who else. Christy Hazelwood, Oracle 11, Rick Yorkin, and Wonder Why, and Ray Clay, Deacon Blues, Bluesman Sonny, Fournier, hello, Michael Scott Carpenter, Barb in Ohio. The group's all here. Marsha, and Mike Luft. And big shout out to my fabulous moderators, Sherry Hughes, T Lamb. Thank you very much. Mama Rages, thank you. And Willow, Trace, and Denise Martinez. Hi. Silent Walk. Hi, everybody. I hope you're all doing okay. And you haven't suffered a bridge collapse and you're in your car underwater, or any weather events taking place, or any migrants coming up to your doors asking for money. Boom. Boom. Minnesota, Iowa, boom. Massive, extremely low frequency hit. And weird weather here in Arizona, boy. So I went out. Oh, we have a rainbow. Oh, look at that. I went out about, I don't know, an hour ago. Then I went out in 30 more minutes. The temperature dropped probably 10-15 degrees. I couldn't believe how cold it was. And the wind also picked up. Then it started, hardly pouring, raining hard. Now it has stopped. Now we have quite the rainbow in a gray sky. Just the weather alone could keep you very occupied for the rest of your life. Right? Right. Ah, yes. Can't maintain smooth streaming anymore. Well, my flippin' life. Solar panel annihilation, Damon, Texas, U.S. Huge hailstorm wiped out acres upon acres of solar panels. And who will pay for it? The taxpayer. Helicopter operator. Wow. Oh my God. Yeah. All of what they are proposing, all of what they are implementing is just crap. If a hailstorm can take out all of these solar panels, which will cost taxpayers a tremendous amount of money, is it worth it? Obviously, no. All right, this bridge. Now, in the video that I posted on my channel, I just wrote Key Bridge. Well, it's Francis Scott Key, which interestingly He's the one who wrote the national anthem.
A stunning bridge collapse at the Port of Baltimore.
The entire Key Bridge is in the harbor.
The Francis Scott Key Bridge plunging into the water overnight after it was hit by a cargo container ship.
I wanted to know what the bang was. Ship hit the Key Bridge, sinking. The bridge is gone. Holy hell.
Video shows smoke coming from the ship before it hit the bridge. The bridge is normally a major artery spanning the Patapsco River, and though the collapse happened in the early morning hours, 1:30 a.m., video shows cars crossing moments before the ship hits. The traffic then paused, but vehicles were still on the bridge as it then crumbled into the water. Fire department and Coast Guard teams rushed to the scene, rescuers searching the water overnight.
Still very much in an active search and rescue posture. Our sonar has detected the presence of vehicles submerged in the water.
The ship is an almost 950-foot container vessel called Dolly, headed from Baltimore to Sri Lanka. The Synergy Marine Corporation saying it collided with the bridge pillar, and all of its crew members, including the 2 pilots, have been accounted for. The ship reportedly lost power while in the water. This morning, with the sun rising, search teams continue looking for any survivors in the water as the Baltimore area reels from a major collapse.
Tom, we know that there were vehicles in the water, as that official pointed out. The weather is very cold, so if there are survivors who are still in the water, how long can they safely remain in those cold temps?
Yeah, 40, 45 degrees in the water, 32 degrees outside right now where we are. We checked with the University of Minnesota Duluth, and they're saying at about 7 minutes, if you're in the water, you start to have exhaustion, and then you may have, if you're lucky, if you've got a flotation device, if you've got the right gear, you might be able to survive for an hour. So we are now several hours, almost 6 hours into this episode. Survivability is really potentially very, very challenging. But overhead, helicopters continue to search the water for any signs of survivors. And this is an all-hands-on-deck effort in terms of Baltimore and Maryland state authorities and surrounding counties all sending mass resources into this area, trying to find anybody who might be in the water.
It's a wow. But I have to say, we've had so many wows that it's like, oh, okay, another mass casualty, another bridge comes down, plane falls out of the sky. Okay. It's I don't have words for what we are living. The port is closed, and it's a major port. So now that's closed. And I've been trying to imagine, having a loved one, and you're expecting them to come home, and they don't. And how it must feel. My heart goes out to everyone who's having to suffer the consequences of all of this. Infrastructure, where did all of our tax dollars go?
And destroyed a road bridge in the American city of Baltimore overnight, did so after its power failed as it prepared to sail underneath. But ITV News has been told this power failure wasn't a freak one-off. The ship was apparently blowing fuses in dock before it set out in the darkness. The loss of 6 workmen, missing, presumed drowned, repairing potholes on the bridge is awful enough. It could, though, have been a whole lot worse for 2 reasons. The time of night meant the bridge was not as busy as usual, and the ship managed a mayday call a few moments before, prompting frantic efforts to close the bridge. Well, these are the live pictures from the scene tonight, and as you can see, a vast span of the bridge simply crumpled, sliding into the water. President Biden has said he will move heaven and earth to get it rebuilt.
On the Patapsco River, where the centre of the bridge once stood, tangled metal juts out of the depths. A section of the structure now leads to thin air. The container ship that caused the carnage, stranded in the middle of the river, part of the wreckage still draped over its prow. It was the dark of night when the Dali left port. On the 1.5-mile span of the Francis Scott Key Bridge above, the headlights of cars flicker seconds before the ship approaches, hits, and then this. The bridge concertinas with breathtaking speed.
The entire Key Bridge is in the harbor.
Police radio registers their utter shock.
We can see 1, 2, 3 remaining sections of the bridge. From there on out from land, the bridge has collapsed.
This is very much still a search and rescue mission. We are still actively looking for survivors. We know, and that's the pledge we've made to these families, and this is still very much an active search and rescue mission. And there is not a single resource that we will hold off on deploying.
That rescue operation began by searchlight and continued through.
Oh boy. So, this was posted. Holy crap, let's see what all the engineers have to say about this. Why would there be flames? Surely metal and concrete don't spontaneously combust. Obviously, there would be sparks, so this guy is saying that there was dynamite or something on the bridge. Just watch.
I'm going to show you, I just showed a video, if you go back, a boat crashed here, but you can see dynamite being let off at every single point. I'm going to do it again. So we have here, charges, boom.
Vessels hit for the middle.
On the copy before this, you can clearly see it happened 6 or 7 times. I went right down the line showing each and every fire point. But my point to this video is let's not get distracted by this here. Let's keep these videos going like they'd like us to cover, but make sure you put Diddy in it. P. Diddy. I'm going to show you, I just showed a video, if you go back, a boat crashed here, but you can see dynamite being let off at every single point. I'm going to do it again. So we have here, charges, boom.
Vessels hit for the middle.
On the copy before this, you can clearly see it happened 6 or 7 times. I went right down the line showing each and every fire point. But my point to this video is let's not get distracted by this here. Let's keep these videos going like they'd like us to cover, but
I don't know. Could, metal that is cracking or could it spark? I would think it would be able to spark, some flames or something, but I don't know. Wow. Oh, God. Well, here, there is a channel called What is Going On with Shipping, and, well, he explains it in a very logical manner, but all right, so you had some news in Britain saying that this ship had problems with power when it was in port. Why did it take off? So the power goes off, and then it goes on again. I will tell you that electromagnetic frequencies can do this to a container ship. They can literally shoot electromagnetic frequencies and cut the power. But what are we living? Wow.
Replay it. This is Dali coming out. Notice the ship just went dark. I'm going to come back here for a second. Go back here a second. Take you back about 10 seconds here. So she would have came off the berth at Dundalk here, and if you play back this video, you'll see that the ship is outbound, turning around the channel, comes off of Dundalk right here, goes out the channel, spins around, and is coming out. Now let's be clear. This is obviously the exit out. This is where she wants to come out. Go ahead and play it again. Here she is coming out. You'll see lights along her side. You'll see lights right here. That red light in the back is not her, but she goes dark all of a sudden. So now the ship is dark. You are not having any power on this vessel. The ship has basically dropped the plant. So when I initially heard about this happening, there was a lot of questions about, was this mechanical or was this human? This is obviously a mechanical issue in that they lost power. We're not sure why she lost power. So here she is basically coasting at this point without any control. Now, if she had lost power, does that mean she lost her rudder? Did she lose propulsion? And the vessel was in the channel on the outbound leg. She was coming out. And you see her still kind of moving here very slowly down on the channel. Traffic up on the bridge is moving along, and the ship is just progressing slowly down the channel. So ship's still moving at this time, and then we see the power come back on. So you see the lights come back on. So she is able to get power back on at this moment. Oops, sorry, it's buffering here. So you got power now coming back on. She, once again, should have propulsion. She should be making way. Now, when you lose power on a ship, it is the worst feeling in the world. Everything goes quiet, goes dark. Now you start seeing black smoke coming out of the port funnel. So she is belching black smoke at this time. You can see it coming out right here. So this indicates, obviously, an engine problem. Now, what are they doing at this point? They may be backing down at this moment, trying to stop their forward progress. Now, the problem with backing down on a ship is that it is single prop. And what's going to happen is when you try to back down, the ship is going to start careening. It's going to start kind of pitching around. And what happens here, based on the track line that I saw in Marine Traffic, is the ship starts to go across the channel. She was basically in the middle of the channel, coming out right down in the middle, and now she's careening toward the right side. Notice more black smoke coming out. I saw a helicopter image this morning that showed that the port side anchor had been dropped. So what you would want to do is try to arrest the forward movement of the vessel. The problem with this whole scenario is this. If you start backing down on the ship, it's going to start twisting. If you just kept the ship going, stopped the propeller, and used the rudder, you would have some control. But now the vessel is starting to veer out of the channel. And this is what we see. The ship starts crossing from the north side of the channel to the south side of the channel, and then eventually out of the channel entirely. And at the speed she's going, she is not able to stop her forward progress. So, see the black smoke still coming out of the ship at this time. The ship now is coming out of the channel entirely. She would not have tugs on her. She would have had tugs to take her off the berth at Dundalk, but not once she was underway and had propulsion. This ship, Singapore flag, Singapore registered company. Dali is one of these ships that basically is leased by the larger operating companies, so we're not exactly sure whose route she was on, what company she was servicing. She was out of Baltimore, heading to Colombo, so she was heading down to the Panama Canal, and she was going to be heading across the Pacific. At this point, she is heading right for the pylons, and understand, once you take out a pylon on a bridge, that's it. These bridges are designed to rest on top of that pylon. She's going to sideswipe it. This is going to be the worst kind of bridge disaster in the United States since Tampa back in the 1980s. And even if you drop the anchors, which we know she drops the port anchor, looking at the image from helicopters, the port anchor was not just dropped, but it was angling aft, meaning that it dragged. But at any sort of speed, it's not going to stop the vessel. She would have dropped, I'm not sure if she dropped the starboard anchor. That's her hitting right there. You can see the big splash as she hits the piling right there. There are barriers around the pilings, but not enough. And that will cause the collapse and just the horror of this event taking place here. And that is the tragedy right there. So
I will put the link in to this video if anybody wants to watch it. and determine for yourself whether or not that was that had any explosives. But wow, so in 2023, the Obamas produced a movie called Leave the World Behind, where a cyber attack causes a massive container ship to lose power and crash. Months later, a massive container ship loses power and crashes into Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, causing a deadly collapse. Well, they're not exactly the same. The Black Swan event, General Flynn raises questions about Baltimore Bridge collapse. All right. I don't care about Alex Jones or even Flynn, but it's a perspective.
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, Black Swan events are usually, from the financial world, right? Well, this actually will impact the financial world for sure. But these are events that happen that, you just can't imagine that something like this is going to happen. There are ships that transit every port, harbor, bay, particularly the large ports like the Baltimore Harbor, every single day, multiple times a day. And for something like this to happen, this complete violation of all standards and norms, they have what's called a SOP, standard operating procedures, that every single ship's captain has to go through prior to taking off from the dock itself, actually prior to getting on the ship. So everything that I see here, and, the jury is going to be out for a while. This is not, I was asked earlier today, Alex, can we take the idea that this was a terrorist attack off the table? And absolutely, we cannot do that. Okay. The other thing that I'll bring into this, because these are events that are happening too often now. This attack in Russia, the Russians are now coming out and saying that the UK and the US were behind the attack in Moscow. And then all of a sudden we have this event here. Now, I think one of the things that we do have to remember is that, because I heard coming in this morning early that there were at least 6 bridge workers that were on that bridge, working on that bridge. And there are obviously some cars that are unaccounted for now. So there are going to be people that probably tragically lost their lives because of this incident. And I'm going to call it an incident. I'm not going to call it an accident just yet. We've all seen the videos where the lights went out on the ship. We've all seen the black smoke coming out of the top of it before they, and I said in my post this morning that people ought to start with the harbor master, because the harbor master has to answer a lot of questions about, were standard operating procedures followed to the letter? And this is not only a massive commercial disaster, but this is a military and a national security disaster, because the Baltimore Harbor is a place where there was an awful lot of military activities, and it's a transit point for many, many different types of functions and capabilities that the United States government uses, right? So this is bad. We cannot take off the table anything right now. I understand it's a Singapore flag vessel. We'll have to see what that means. What does that mean? And I mean, everything is going to have to be checked. And one of the first things, obviously, is to try to find out if there was anybody that were killed because of this. And obviously, there's 6 bridge workers' lives who were lost, that appear to be lost in this thing. And I guarantee they're probably scouring around the waters right now trying to find any of that. That's the tragedy when something like this happens. They're going to try to blame this on the construction of the bridge, and they're going to distract. People should not be distracted by those kinds of elements. There's a lot worse things that we're going to find out from this particular incident, and nothing can be taken off the table. We definitely have people who can investigate these. We have really good, talented people who can investigate these types of things. Somebody said to me this morning, well, the FBI ought to immediately get involved here. And I was like, no, they shouldn't. I mean, the FBI is not the best to investigate this right now. There are other maritime agencies and activities that we have that are very professional and very capable of doing the work. And like I said, I would start with the harbor master because.
Okay, so I'll put the link in. Oh, it's Zero Hedge. Let me get it on Twitter. Might be too long though. It is too long. So I can't put the link in, but go on Twitter and just put in the search Flynn Alex Jones and it will come up. It's like he said, it's bad. It's bad. Port of Baltimore closed. Baltimore is the busiest U.S. port for car shipments, handling more than 750,000 vehicles in 2022. It's a very busy port, very active port, and it is shut down right now. And yes, our Secretary of Transportation, let's listen to this. Oh, I have so many descriptive words going through my head right now. Can you imagine some of them?
I'm still surprised that some people were surprised when I pointed to the fact that if a highway was built for the purpose of dividing a white and a black neighborhood, or if an underpass was constructed such that a bus carrying mostly black and Puerto Rican kids to a beach, or it would have been, in New York was designed too low for it to pass by, that obviously reflects racism that went into those design choices. I don't think we have anything to lose by confronting that simple reality, and I think we have everything to gain by acknowledging it and then dealing with it, which is why the Reconnecting Communities, that $1 billion, is something we want to get to work right away, putting to work. I'm still surprised that some people were
Oh, yeah. Where the hell is this guy? How come we never hear from him anymore? Baltimore is now facing apocalyptic levels of policing shortages. That's right. Last week, there were 3 police officers patrolling a whole district of 61,000 residents. Police are now unable to respond to calls, including for child assault. The department is now postponing police training in an attempt to solve shortages. And listen to this.
If you're to the ship, anyone willing to work overtime?
In the Southern District on Tuesday, there was a plea for officers to work overtime. Minutes later, it went citywide.
Citywide, overtime available on today's date, trolley shift, Southern District. Anyone interested?
Baltimore's Southern Police District is the city's largest district, 61,000 residents. And on Tuesday afternoon, sources tell us at one point there were 3 police officers on patrol. Just seconds after the plea for officers hit the airwaves, so did pleas for help.
If anyone in Sector 2 can come clear, we have a physical child abuse at Morrill Park, and there's a 10-year-old at the location with bruises all over his body. Okay, we also have a common assault. We have a missing person, 2640 Huron Street.
10 minutes after that child abuse call was transmitted, it appears there were still no officers en route.
We still holding that physical child abuse?
Yes, sir. Can be advised we are now holding 10 calls. No priority ones. We still have the physical child abuse and the common assault.
And it's heartbreaking. Imagine if you are a crime victim.
Betsy Smith with the National Police Association calls the city's police staffing dangerously low.
You are endangering the lives of the police officers that are on duty. And what that further does is endanger the lives of the citizens.
There's 522 vacancies.
At a city budget hearing last year, the top brass admitted it struggled with recruitment and is hoping to hire civilians to fill in the gaps.
We're looking at upwards to 120 to 140 positions that we're trying to create in this request to be able to sustain going forward.
The reason that 9 out of every 10 police departments in this country is short-staffed is because we have been dealing with, here in the United States, this 3.5, almost 4-year vilification and demonization of the American law enforcement officer.
Until perceptions change, Smith predicts recruitment will not improve, and the pleas for officers will grow louder.
16 is going to pick up the physical child abuse on Everything comes clear of his larceny from auto.
Our sources are telling us tonight that the department is actually postponing training for officers just to keep them on the streets.
Oh, we're in just fabulous shape, aren't we? Spraying manure and throwing beets. Farmers in tractors again block Brussels to protest EU policies. There's so many Europeans who are actually taking action. Forget about the result. It's important to take the action. And yeah, there's something very wrong with Americans. Farmers, well, all Americans, but farmers, you've got to get out there. You've got to start making some noise. Buffering. What fun. Have I lost connection? Alright, well, you get the point, right? Okay. There's a lot of people dying, a lot of murder, suicides in families, people just kind of coming up against, a dead body. This is on the East River. A dead body found. This is in Manhattan. And the East River, it's a lovely walk. Well, forget about it. For now. There's just a dead body. Okay. How about San Francisco couple? Murder, suicide.
Saddened after a husband and wife found dead inside their San Francisco home. Tonight, neighbors in shock, family members in mourning. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mike Meebeck.
And I'm Julie Hayner. Sources tell us tonight the shooting was a murder-suicide. That shooting happened around 8:45 last night at a home near Dwight and San Bruno in the city's Portola neighborhood. New at 10 tonight, KTVU's Amber Lee joins us now from San Francisco Police Headquarters. Amber, what are you learning about the victims?
Julie, police tell me they're still piecing together what happened. They say officers responded to a report of a shooting last night. Family and friends posted photos and tributes on social media to Oscar and Florinda Picasso, a San Francisco couple in their late 40s. Police say the two were found dead with gunshot wounds inside their home in the Portola neighborhood near busy San Bruno Avenue Sunday night around 8:45. Sources tell KTVU it was a murder-suicide. Police have yet to confirm this and did not release details of what happened or the motive for the shooting.
I just heard a different sirens coming over a 15-20 minute period, different types. I think one was the police cars, obviously, and then another was probably an emergency vehicle. Sirens are a little different. And after the third time hearing that, you're going, well, something's going on.
The couple's oldest daughter, Jasmine, tells me she wants her parents to be remembered as incredible human beings. She says her father worked for Recology for 29 years. He was featured in a company newsletter in 2022, which is posted online. Mom Florinda worked as a 911 dispatcher for the city since 2008, 16 years. The Department of Emergency Management issued a statement which says in part, quote, everyone at DEM is in shock today following the tragic loss of a long-standing and valued colleague.
Got a lot of these going on all over the country. 2 teens shot outside high school in Newark, New Jersey.
To some breaking news happening in Newark tonight, where we have learned that 2 people, including a student, have been shot outside of a school. CBS 2's Dave Carlin is live outside Westside High School with more for us. Dave.
Christine, both shooting victims, teenagers. And it happened as school was letting out around 2:45, as it was beginning to let out some students still inside, as you're about to hear. Now, the two teen boys were shot outside Westside High School, which is here on South Orange Avenue. A 17-year-old is hospitalized in critical condition. A 15-year-old is hospitalized in stable condition. Now, witnesses tell me a suspect was seen leaving the scene in a sedan, but at this time, we do not have descriptions available of the suspect and that getaway.
Oh boy, yeah, but don't worry, crime is down. That's what they say, crime is down. Trump to own nearly 80 million DJT shares. 80 million. Here's what price makes him the world's first trillionaire. Following the merger between Digital World Acquisition Corp and Trump Media and Technology Group, Trump is expected to own 78,750,000 shares of the combined company, which is trading under the symbol DJT. So, Trump would be by far the largest shareholder. Why not? The company's stock ticker post-merger will be his initials. This week's merger added roughly $3.5 billion to Trump's net worth, bringing it up to $6.4 billion. The boost was enough to include Trump in the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, which tracks the top 500 wealthiest people in the world. But hey, keep donating. Keep donating to this guy because he needs the money, right? And he put out a call for donations to help him with his legal matters. Oh, wow. Trump says Israel has to finish the war because it's losing a lot of support. This is the murderous psychopath that a whole lot of people claim to be their savior. He said in an interview over the weekend that Israel made a big mistake by broadcasting images and videos of the destruction in the Gaza Strip, saying it's losing Israel a lot of support. He doesn't mention anything about the Palestinians losing their life. It's just a mistake. I'm sorry. I mean, there's an awful lot of Americans who, growing up in this country, we've become, just supporters of psychopaths. We've become people who can't even recognize how deranged are the people that they, ostensibly vote for. He also said he would have done the same thing as Israel in response to October 7 Hamas attack on southern Israel, but said it was time to finish your war as global opinion is turning on Israel. You got to get it done, and I am sure you will do that. And we got to get to peace. We can't have this going on. And I will say Israel has to be very careful because you're losing a lot of the world. You're losing a lot of support. You have to finish it up. You have to get the job done. What is he saying? Kill all of these Palestinians. Get the job done. When asked by the interviewer about how he would respond to the wave of anti-Semitism since October 7, Trump replied, "Well, that's because you fought back. That's because you fought back." And I think Israel made a very big mistake. I wanted to call Israel and say, don't do it. These photos and shots are not about getting the job done. Don't publicize it. These photos and shots, I mean, moving shots of bombs being dropped into buildings in Gaza. And I said, oh, that's a terrible portrait. It's a very bad picture for the world. The world is seeing this every night. I would watch buildings pour down on people. The interviewer then claimed that terrorists were hiding in the buildings. Trump replied, "Go and do what you have to do, but you don't do that. You don't publicize it." And I think that's one of the reasons that there has been a lot of kickback. If people didn't see that every single night, I've watched every single one of those, and I think Israel wanted to show that it's tough, but sometimes you shouldn't be doing that. Trump also took shots at Democrats for the growing criticism of Israel from within the party. Some 15 years ago, Israel had the strongest lobby. If you were a politician, you couldn't say anything bad about Israel. That would be like the end of your political career. Today, it's almost the opposite. I've never seen you have AOC +3, these lunatics. No, Trump's not a lunatic. These lunatics, well, AOC is a lunatic, but anybody calling for a ceasefire or not getting the job done is a lunatic, according to Trump. And I'm sorry, supporters of Trump are lunatics. My God. All they do is talk badly about Israel. And they hate Israel and they hate the Jewish people. Oh, that's right. Okay. Nothing like pouring out more, well, that is a hateful presumption. They hate Jewish people. That will stir an awful lot of people up, right? That's what Trump is good at. He said the Hamas attack on Israel wouldn't have happened if he was still president, of course. Well, he's not only a psychopath, he's also a narcissist. Something he has repeatedly claimed in recent interviews, it was an attack that I blame on Biden because they have no respect for him. He can't put two sentences together. He can't talk. He's a very dumb person. Trump was extremely pro-Israel and carried out policies to support Israeli claims to occupied land, which all played a role in escalating tensions between Israel and the Palestinians. His administration recognized the Golan Heights as Israeli territory and declared that illegal Israeli settlements in the West Bank don't violate international law. That's who you support, Trump supporters? They do violate international law. But hey, he's got an agenda. Trump's administration moved the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem and unveiled a so-called peace plan that would have seen Israel annex large swaths of the West Bank. Trump also brokered the Abraham Accords, deals that resulted in Israel normalizing ties with the UAE and Bahrain, and Jared Kushner, who was Trump's point man on Israel, recently said Gaza's, quote, waterfront property could be very valuable, unquote. Wow, man. You Trump supporters, if you don't start thinking about who you are supporting, then you are a tad like Trump. You've got psychopathic tendencies, crazy lunatic tendencies, if you're not a full-blown lunatic. I'm going to post the link to this video that I mentioned last night. Walter Veith, who, there's the link, the Trump card. Yeah. He doesn't care about dismantling this country. And I didn't know what a religious lunatic he is. But I think it's all for show. It's just bullshit. But wow. Check it out. All right, so Assange wins temporary reprieve as court seeks U.S. assurances over extradition. The assurances? Don't kill him. The UK to the U.S. We can't extradite him if you don't give us assurances that you're not going to kill him. Yeah. France raises security risk to highest level after Moscow terror attack. Why France? Huh. Well, read the article. No reason given, but given the Islamic State's claim of responsibility for the attack and the threats weighing on our country, we have decided to raise the level to the highest level, attack emergency. There are 3 threat levels, and prior to raising it, it was at the middle level. This raised alert level allows for exceptional security measures, such as stepped-up patrols by armed forces in public places like train stations, airports, and religious sites. Ah, yes. Okay, so there's a terrorist attack in Moscow. ISIS takes responsibility, and ISIS is us. Okay? Moscow comes out and says there was CIA connections. So now France is afraid of getting a terrorist attack, and apparently Italy too. Italy has raised its, I'm sorry, the dogs really, when they breaks my concentration. Italy joined France in raising its security level as the country is headed into Easter. Both surveillance and checks will be increased, paying the most attention to the places of greatest aggregation and transit of people, as well as sensitive targets. This is, as far as I'm concerned, it's a great excuse to keep spreading out the tyranny and cementing it in Western countries. Church of England, the Archdeacon, openly calls for anti-whiteness. Was something wrong here? Yes, something is very wrong. She did. She called for anti-whiteness. Okay. What do you do with this? What do you do with this? She went to a conference on whiteness last autumn. This is what she writes. It was very good, very interesting, and made me realize whiteness is to race as patriarchy is to gender. So yes, let's have anti-whiteness and let's smash the patriarchy. That's not anti-white or anti-men, it's anti-oppression. Anti-whiteness isn't anti-white. So here are some of the responses. You had one training session and now you want to exterminate white people. I suspect the problem is what you think you mean by anti-whiteness and what everyone else thinks you mean are different. But in this case, everyone else is right, and you sound like an appalling racist fruitcake. Let's have anti-whiteness. That's not anti-white. Can you hear yourself spouting this absolute cocksheet? You are completely brainwashed. If you're affected by Miranda's racist comments, I'd strongly advise you to complain. Go to the church. Whiteness is an anti-white concept that treats white people's existence like a sickness. So yes, legitimizing that poisonous term absolutely makes you anti-white, and especially anti-white male. As a white person, am I safe to attend church in this diocese? Did you mean this sounds like you are an attention-seeking, unchristian racist? Oh my God. Church. Anti-whiteness. And I love how white people, white. Yeah. Okay. Gotta call out anti-whiteness. Let's have anti-whiteness. Wow. Alright, so there's some... I'm going to post a link into this video. It was sent to me by a subscriber. And... this doesn't look good, but you know what? What they're talking about right here, this river in West Virginia, this is what's going on in... not going to play. So if you're still with me and still can hear me, I put the link in, you can watch it. But yeah, another river that has been poisoned, that is dead. Well, it's not a surprise to me. Ghost town. This is Caitlin Johnstone, who I have recommended before checking out